I took my fiance to a mental health facility, feeling numb. My fiance, 27NB, is currently in the hospital, and their safety is my main concern right now. Last night, my fiance, our roommate friend 30F, and I, 23M, spent 5 hours waiting for their admission. Having a complex trauma history and extensive experience with mental health issues, both personally and in supporting friends, I found myself emotionally shut down. All I could focus on was finding solutions and ensuring my partner was safe. I asked our roommate to support my fiance while I reached out to hospitals to find one that would accept their insurance and honor their gender identity. We took them there last night, and they chose to admit themselves. I won't go into specifics about their situation, but I can say they are safe now. I realized I had done all I could, and I would never forgive myself if something happened to them. They had a plan, and I couldn't let it unfold. I haven't seen them since 2 a.m. last night. The hospital wouldn't let them bring their plush toy, and I've been holding on to it all day. I was present when they discussed the admission questions, and the responses were things I never wanted to hear. However, they acknowledged their need for help, and I brought them here out of love. This morning, I accompanied my roommate to the hospital to deliver some personal belongings, but I have no idea how long they will be staying. I can't return to visit until my fiance calls me with their patient ID number. Neither my phone nor theirs, which they couldn't take inside, has rung all day. I'm left wondering what's going on, whether they're being treated with respect, and if they received the note I tucked into their bag. I feel completely lost and unsure of what to do next. My roommate is really struggling emotionally, and it's hard for me because I feel so numb right now. She's been crying and checking in on me all day, but I just want some time alone, even though she's clearly not okay. I often find myself thinking, you're overreacting, why are you so emotional? This isn't the love of your life going through this, and I really dislike that about myself. The truth is, she's not being dramatic at all. She's dealing with this situation like a completely normal person would. Meanwhile, I feel like a lifeless machine, experiencing sudden emotional surges that I keep pushing down just to get through this. We have some friends coming over, and while I know I should appreciate the company, I really don't want it. I invited them for her sake, so she doesn't have to depend solely on me for support. I feel so incredibly numb, and all I can do is seek distractions while I wait for the phone to ring. I'm definitely dissociating and keeping myself occupied, fully aware that the emotions will catch up with me later. The apartment is a total disaster, and I feel really awkward about having guests over. I'd rather not have anyone here, but I know it's probably for the best, both for me and to give my roommate a little peace of mind. Just to give you some context, I'm a disabled student and can't drive. Our roommate is a friend who's staying with us while job hunting. My fiance works a demanding 40-hour week at a job that pays well, but isn't great. They can't be open about their queer identity, as it could jeopardize their job or even put them in danger with coworkers. Our money is tight right now, but my parents have promised to help with rent while I'm in trade school. Ooh, this adds to the stress, especially with rent due this week, but honestly, it feels so small compared to how much I miss my fiance and my worries about their health.
Story 2.
I'm a 37-year-old man who married my 47-year-old husband last year, moved to his country, and it's been a nightmare ever since. Hi everyone. I apologize if this is long and a bit scattered. I'm unsure why I'm posting, but I feel really alone and miserable right now, and maybe talking to strangers might help a bit. Last year, I, a 37-year-old from the US, married my husband, who is 47. He's from Europe, so we decided to live temporarily in his country as it seemed easier for both of us. At that time, I was also in Europe, but in a different country. We were together for 3 years before marrying, maintaining a long-distance relationship. I worked remotely, which allowed us to meet almost monthly, usually with me flying to him, or when he had time off, he'd visit me, or we'd meet in another country for a vacation. My job is well paid, and since he was financially struggling, I didn't mind covering the costs. During our relationship, he was the sweetest person, very honest, and, in a way, very innocent. His adult years were spent caring for his parents before they passed away, so he hadn't really dated until he met me. We shared similar relationship goals and both wanted children, which was important to me. He always smiled, and I never saw him angry. After 2.5 years, I knew he was the one, so I proposed at a destination that was almost like a fairy tale. I wanted everything to be special for him because he is very special to me. 6 months later, we had a small wedding with close family and friends, and I officially moved to his country. Then everything changed. He immediately began having anger issues over small things. For example, he didn't like how I made the bed. It had to be done his way. Or if something bad happened at his job, he'd take it out on me. Small issues would blow up into massive arguments. Once, I locked myself in the office with my dogs because they were shaking in fear on my lap, and he broke in to yell before slamming the door so hard it broke the door frame and dislocated his shoulder. I was terrified. In a foreign country, if he or a neighbor called the cops, it would look like I caused it. I thought he might be bipolar because the changes were that extreme. I told him he needed therapy, or it was divorce. He agreed to therapy and actually went through with it, but his anger shifted to something else. For example, next year we plan to start the green card process so he can move to the US with me. Though Europe has its positives, if I lose my remote job, I'm stuck without options, as it's not a field where remote work is common. To work locally, I'd have to go back to school, redo my license, for a market that barely pays above minimum wage due to oversaturation and scarce vacancies. Not to mention, I have a huge support network in the US: friends, family, my parents offering to help us buy a house, friends offering my husband a job. Here, we have no one but his brother and sister-in-law. One week he says he loves me and will follow me anywhere, and the next he's crying, saying he can't move away from his brother and sister-in-law or leave his hometown. It's an emotional roller coaster, also affecting my parents. His brother and sister-in-law are terrible people, especially her. They could be a whole story on their own. I hate them for how they treated me and my husband, though he doesn't see it. They've never done anything for us. In fact, they used my husband, always needing favors like watching their kids, their dog. Shopping for them. Our weekends weren't ours because they always needed something. Oh, and they owe me money because when I first moved here, they were short on rent money I'll likely never see again. Worse is her treatment towards me. I am American, but I'm also mixed with 2 other ethnicities, which I'm omitting for privacy. Whenever we met, she'd comment on how she dislikes Americans, calling us dumb and blaming us for ruining her country's economy, all while never having visited the US, or make disparaging remarks about people from my other 2 ethnicities, accusing us of bringing crime to her country. My husband never defended me because he didn't want to lose his brother's relationship. I finally had enough and left the last time we saw them, leading them to accuse me of being rude, lacking manners, traumatizing their kids full of vitriol. They even removed me from social media the next day. Still, my husband wouldn't stand up for me. They seem to exist in another reality, though it's not surprising because racism is, unfortunately, quite prevalent here. He eventually had a confrontation with them, but they still met without me, going out together while I was excluded, making me feel exiled from the family. All of this makes me want to leave, but I don't know where to begin. I only know a few acquaintances here, not close enough to share this burden with. I'm embarrassed. This isn't my first relationship, and I'm embarrassed at another failure. How do I tell my family what's really happening? My friends, who've already seen me through past exes. I fear the aftermath. Moving countries is incredibly stressful, especially with dogs, and I must do it again. And if I manage all that, what about dating again? Going through all this again? When will I find a loving partner with children before it's too late for me? I feel like a failure. I've never had suicidal thoughts, but recently I've caught myself wondering if ending it is easier than facing all this, and I hate reaching that point. I've always been the go-getter, strong, helping friends and family, excelling in my career. If a friend faced this, I'd be the first to help them. Now I can barely get out of bed. This weekend, we decided to take a break after another argument about his family and mood swings, but legally, I can't move out due to my visa. We have to live together, making it horrible. This morning, he got mad because I replied hello instead of good morning. I barely have the energy to say hello, or even muster the effort to breathe.